Good morning. Good morning to this lively crew. Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond. My name is Sharon Amos, and it's my honor to serve here on the board of directors for this congregation. This is a diverse and fully inclusive community that works towards a mission to grow in search of wisdom, to care in support of community, and to act in the service of justice. And we gather together many times during the week, but also very intentionally on Sundays to hold sacred space, quiet sacred space, preferably, sacred space for that mission. We welcome you here this morning. It is your presence here that really makes this a sacred space. So we are glad that you're here with us. I have a quick announcement to make this morning because today is also the day that we hold the annual meeting of our congregation. So if you are a member here and if you're visiting or a friend, you're also welcome to join us if you want to check out our annual meeting process. But particularly if you're a member, we ask that you stay after service today for a meeting where we talk about the business of this congregation. We vote to elect our board and committee members who will represent the congregation for the coming year, and we vote on the budget. So we hope that you'll be able to join us. That will take place pretty much right after service, giving everyone some time to head straight out of the Great Hall and pick up your voting card, register and pick up your voting card. Then you can just wrap yourself right over to this side of the lobby for those here in person and pick up a snack and come right on back in. And if you're joining us online, you should see a link to the Zoom meeting this afternoon, and you're welcome to join us that way, although unfortunately we don't have snacks. We don't have virtual snacks. But please take care of those things promptly and then come on in and join us for the annual meeting. We hope to see you there. Thank you, and again, welcome.
Good morning. I am Reverend Amy Russell, she, her, and I am so glad to see all of you here today. We are so glad to have our wonderful choir New Beginning here this morning. And I'm very grateful to have our worship associate, Hyatt Bain. So, if you're here for the first time, we would love to know who you are, and if you would stand and introduce yourself and tell us where you're from. Jamie has the mic, and she'll come around if you stand or raise your hand.
Would you mind passing that too?
Hey everyone, my name is Jennifer. Second time back, and so happy to be back in a place that welcomes me as a half Jew. Thank you for giving me this time.
Welcome. Okay, we got everybody. All right, so if you would like to take a minute and just say hello to your neighbors. This morning we are talking about renewal. That is our theme for the month of June. And today we're focusing on renewal through letting go, something I know I need to learn over and over again. And our call to worship is by Nathan Ryan. Be it real or metaphor, whatever is in your backpack or your briefcase or your purse that you're brought into the sanctuary that is weighing you down, leave it behind. Whatever you're carrying that is keeping you distracted or caught up in shame or guilt or hopelessness, leave it behind. If you need it, it will be there when we're done, but just for this hour, let it go. Come into this place with open hearts. Come into this place with a soul remembering how to be tender again. Come into this place with renewed hope for this world. Come into this place ready to build a world that we've always been worthy of and have always dreamed of.
Our chalice lighting this morning is called Space for Breath by Reverend Scott Taylor. We light this chalice to remember that it is good to make space for breath, that work is not the measure of worthiness, that filling one's life to the brim leaves no room for grace and surprise to slip in. Welcome, friends. Let us make space and be renewed. And our opening hymn is My Life Flows On, hymn number 108. And thank you to Bari Ramsey for being a song leader today. Yeah, we invite you to rise in body or spirit. Our reading is by 12th century Sufi Persian poet Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi. Let go of your worries and be completely clear-hearted, like the face of a mirror that contains no images. If you want a clear mirror, behold yourself and see the shameless truth which the mirror reflects. If metal can be polished to a mirror-like finish, what polishing might the mirror of the heart require? Between the mirror and the heart is this single difference. The heart conceals secrets while the mirror does not. Now we'll have special music by New Beginning. Thank you for bringing that spirit. All right, so our Share the Plate for this month is the Richmond Animal League. June is typically the month that the youth group chooses the nonprofit or nominates a deserving nonprofit for Share the Plate. And this June, the youth have come together to nominate Richmond Animal League, located in Midlothian. RAL has been committed to saving the lives of animals and finding loving homes for pets over 45 years. So that's a long time to be finding homes foster homes so that pets don't have to be put down. Since 1979, they've worked with area shelters to provide temporary housing, medical treatment, vaccinations, spay and neuter operations, and loving care to tens of thousands of pets who were then adopted into new homes. Richmond Animal League works with 30 municipal shelters and rescue partners and the community to reduce euthanasia rates across Central Virginia. When municipal shelters become too full or have pets with medical conditions beyond their resources, RAL steps in to transfer, house, care for, and adopt those pets. These timely transfers of pets to RAL help their partners have the space and capacity to save more lives, their partner organizations. There is more need than capacity, so they prioritize their work with shelter partners as the best way to save the most lives. RAL runs entirely on the generosity of their donors. Donations of any size help them to save lives. So let's support our youth and the animals that they love. And the collection for Richmond Animal League will now be taken and most graciously received. And thank you for being generous. So the ushers will come around with the baskets, and they're also, in a minute on the screen, there will appear other ways that you can give, electronically as well as through the mail. Thank you, Jamie. So today's meditation is called a RAIN meditation. It's an acronym, R-A-I-N, and some of you may have come across that in your life in different ways because it's, a very popular way of doing meditation. And it's really great to learn this. It's very simple. So we're going to do part of it because if you really went into it deeply, it would take more time. So the R is recognize. So recognize what is happening. Recognize what is happening in your body as well as the incident or the relationship. Allow is allowing the experience to be there just as it is, or accepting is another A word that you can use. And then investigating what it is with interest and care. So gently inquiring within yourself as to what this is, without judgment. And then the N is nurture, so nurturing yourself with compassion. So I invite you to do the usual, which means sit comfortably, but with your back supported and your feet flat on the floor. So hopefully you can be comfortable. And, you know, if it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, I invite you to do that, or to soften your gaze, either way. And this is a great mindfulness practice. And I first learned about it from Tara Brock of the Insight Meditation of Washington, D.C. So R, recognize what is happening. So I'm inviting you to think of something recent that happened in your life and bring to mind that situation that maybe you felt stuck, or one that elicited a difficult reaction such as anger or fear, shame or hopelessness. It might be a conflict with a family member, a chronic illness, a failure at work, or the pain of an addiction, a conversation you now regret. Don't make it something too traumatic to bring up, but just something that feels a little bit stuck from recent times. So visualize that. We'll just take a minute for that. So the R of recognize, as you reflect on the situation, ask yourself, what is happening inside me right now? What sensations in your body are you most aware of? What emotions? Or is your mind filled with churning thoughts? Just take a moment to become aware. And the A of rain, allow life to be just as it is. Send a message to your heart to just let it be. Find in yourself the willingness to pause and accept that in these moments, what is. You can whisper mentally to yourself, yes, or I consent, or let be. You might find yourself saying yes to a huge inner no, to a body and mind painfully contracted in resistance. Or you might be saying yes to the part of you that's saying, I hate this. That's a natural part of the process. You're simply noticing what is true and intending not to judge or push it away. So we're just going to take a couple of minutes of silence for that process. Let's take a couple of breaths together. In through the nose and out through the mouth, if you can. And I just invite you, if this feels like an important issue that came up for you, to do the I and the N sometime this week. So the I is investigate with a gentle, curious intention. And the N is to nurture yourself with loving presence. So give yourself the love that you very often, I'm sure, give out to other people. And it's very easy to find this online if you want to look at the whole process on your own. Thank you. So now I'm going to offer a little bit of a expanded serenity prayer that's offered by the Unitarian Church of Houston. God or higher power or higher self, whatever the word is that you use for the great mystery, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't control, the courage to change the things I can control, and the wisdom to know the difference. Grant me patience for the changes that take time, appreciation for all that I have, tolerance for those with different struggles, and the strength to try again, one day at a time. Amen. And now we'll do the meditation on breathing hymn, number 1009, and Jamie's going to teach us. Thank you.
It's a lovely little ditty. It's got 3 parts, and I'm going to teach them all to you one by one, and then you're going to pick the one that you like the best and just sing it over and over and over. It is a meditation, a sung meditation on breathing. And the drone, the bass of it goes like this. It's just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. In the middle is the melody, which goes, when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. And above it all is this really pretty high descant that I kind of squeak out, but you sopranos will probably do it really pretty. It goes something like, when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. So those are the 3 parts. Now you're just going to pick one, and we're just going to sing it a bunch of times. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in,
That was wonderful. Thank you, everyone. We have one more reading, and it's one of my favorite poems by Mary Oliver, and it's In Blackwater Woods. Some of you are very familiar with this poem. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the pond. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do 3 things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing that your own life depends upon it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go.
Just say yes, you lead the way. I'm not afraid of what it means for me to say. For this life you gave is not my own. I'm trusting you to hear my yes and lead me on. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. My life is yours. I got to say that again. I'll just say yes. You lead the way. I'm not afraid of what it means for me to say. For this life you gave is not my own. I'm trusting you to hear my yes and lead me on. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. My life is yours. I'll just say yes. You lead the way. I'm not afraid. For this life you gave is not my own. I'm trusting you to hear my yes and lead me on. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. My life is yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. My life is, and there is peace. When I say yes, I may not see it. I may not see it. my life is, and there is peace. When I say yes, I may not see it, but you say for all you and obey. There is no more delay. My soul says yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. My life is, yes, yes, Lord. Lord, I love you. My life is, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. My life is, yes, yes, Lord. Lord, I love you. Lord, I adore you. My life is, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. My life is, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. My life is yours. Yeah. Yeah.
So much. Beautiful. I think we can go home now. If I asked you to think about a time in your life when you were worrying about something and you were up all night tossing and turning and you just couldn't sleep, and you probably would say, well, which night? So many nights like that, right? Can't always remember all of them. Or maybe you have difficulty telling me what night and what it was you're worrying about. You just remember that you were worried. Or you remember the emotions, but maybe not what happened. So the feelings that we have at those times come back to us very vividly. The feelings might come back to you, but not maybe what you're trying to wrestle with. Maybe you were trying to solve the problem or move past the difficulty, but maybe that's gone, and just that difficultness and the emotion is with you. Accompanying those feelings, though, is probably a story you were telling yourself at the time, a story about what you believed about the situation you're in, and it may not actually have been true. We tell ourselves stories about something we're feeling because we don't always understand what our feelings are telling us. We create beliefs about a situation because we can't understand it often. So I remember a time in my life when this was happening, when I was demoted from my position as a manager in a corporation. And what I remembered is the feeling of shame. I was so ashamed of myself. I spent many nights just tossing and turning and said, how could I be so terrible that they had to demote me? It was just a feeling of being so terrible. And finally, my boss, who was not the decision maker and who was my friend, finally came to me and said, this is not your fault. This happens every year or so in every corporation. It's called downsizing. You had nothing to do with it. And many other people got demoted, not just you. It's not about you. Oh, I said, I thought it was. No. So You see, he knew me, this boss, and he knew that I would be doing this horrible blaming myself because I took responsibility. I tried to take responsibility for myself. He also knew that I didn't know the corporate culture very well, and that I didn't fit the corporate culture very well. So he was wise enough, though, not to come to me right away, kind of let me feel the feelings. And then a couple days later, he came to me and said, let's go take a walk. And we went and take a walk, and he said, tell me about what you're feeling about this. And I told him how terrible I felt. He let me feel the feelings. And then he asked me, why did you believe this was about you and that you were terrible? Did I really believe that I was a bad manager? And he pointed out to my last review, which is quite good. I said, no, I guess I didn't believe that. He said, but you let someone else tell you the story that you were terrible. You let that take hold of you. So I let the emotions of the moment tell me this story that was not true. When we experience something that throws us into a deep emotional state, we sometimes do one of two things. Sometimes we just push this situation away, push away the feelings, pretend it didn't happen. Oh no, that's not going to bother me. I'm just going to stuff it, right? Some people do that a lot. The other thing we do is to fall into the emotions by telling ourselves a story that we've created about why we're feeling the way we're feeling. And the story reinforces the feelings, so they get even worse. Many spiritual teachers and psychologists tell us, let those feelings come. Let them in. Just allow them, like we talked about in our meditation today. Recognize the feelings, name them. We do this in this RAIN meditation. Recognize, allow. In our meditation group that we have on Tuesdays, we often do this exercise. So then we might, after we allow it and we recognize it and we're kind of steeped in the feelings, then we might investigate gently. What is causing the emotion, and what story am I telling myself? What belief have I come to adopt about this situation? You may be telling yourself a story that others judge you. You may be telling yourself that you aren't good enough. Or you might be accepting a story that someone else has given you. Investigating that story gently that you're telling yourself might allow you to see a deeper truth. You might come to a realization that while you're feeling something deeply, that the belief you created that you'll never be okay again might just be what you're feeling at that moment. Or you might come to realize that you really don't need to accept someone else's judgment. Or you might be ready to let go of that story and look at the deeper truth. Letting go of feelings is not an easy thing. It doesn't happen easily. We can't just tell ourselves to stop the feeling, because often when we do that, what are we doing? Pushing the feelings away, right? So that would be resistance, and that's not helpful, because those feelings, they live inside us and they come back. As humans, we're often stuck in a feeling that if something doesn't turn out the way that we wish it would, if we think that we have to get that job, or we have to have a certain relationship, or we have to have a certain achievement, we spend our lives endlessly looking for that thing outside of ourselves to become happy. As long as we focus on those things that are outside of ourselves, we aren't focusing on the real place where we need to find our happiness, which is within ourselves. Because there are so many things beyond our control, all we can control is our reaction to what happens, and then looking within to find that happiness. Joseph Campbell says this: the first step to the knowledge of the wonder and mystery of life is the recognition that this is just how it is, and that it cannot and will not be changed. So if you really want to help this world, what you will have to teach is how to live in it. And that no one can do who has not themselves learned how to live in the joyful sorrow and the sorrowful joy of life. Don't you love that? The joyful sorrow and the sorrowful joy. And so much of life is that. They often come together. Learning how to live in that joyful sorrow and that sorrowful joy is having a knowledge that life presents us with things that we cannot control. A lot of the time when we experience those sorrows, we find at the root of those things fear. A lot of times when I'm feeling anger, resentment, disappointment, I look behind it when I'm doing that investigation. What I see is fear. Gerald Jampolsky, a psychiatrist and author, writes about how fear traps us in a place where we can't access our inner selves, our best selves. In his book, Love is Letting Go of Fear, he talks about getting back to the feelings of love when we're having fear. He relates how easy it is to become angry when we're fearful. So he tells this story. He founded a nonprofit that helped children who are having catastrophic illness deal with their illnesses. He founded this nonprofit, and it was limping along as early nonprofits do, but it was not getting the kinds of grant money that it needed, so often he couldn't pay the bills. And his bookkeeper came to him one day and said, "We haven't paid the phone bill in several months. We got to pay this phone bill. What are you going to do?" And he just got angry. "Why doesn't that phone company understand that we're doing important things?" he thought. And the more he thought about it, the more angrier he got. And he wanted to call him up and say, "Don't charge me this number." But he realized, when he thought about it, that behind his anger was fear. Fear that he could not continue to do this good work, and that they would cut off the phone, which was a real fear. So he sat in the feeling for a while, and then he realized behind his feeling of anger was fear, and then his fear turned to compassion. It turned to compassion for himself for having these feelings, and compassion for this organization that was doing so much good. So he finally decided he was going to call the president of the phone company. Now, that took a while. It took a few weeks to get a hold of the president of the phone company, but he finally got hold of him, and with his compassion, not his fear, he explained what work they were doing and how good this work was for the children they were working with. The president of the phone company was very impressed, gave him a grant, and resolved his phone bill right away, because he acted out of compassion, out of love, not out of fear. Dealing with his feelings and allowing them, Jampolsky found himself in a place where he could act from love and not from fear. Letting go of feelings, though, it's not easy, and it does not mean pushing them away. So it's very hard to tell the difference between letting go and pushing away. So when I'm feeling resentment or anger at someone or some situation, some trigger might tell me that it's wrong of me to feel this way. I shouldn't feel angry. I shouldn't feel resentment. And that's what in Buddhism we call the second arrow. First we feel angry, and then we blame ourselves. We feel resentment about our feeling angry. We tell ourselves we're stupid for feeling angry, right? So that second arrow, again, is something we have to recognize and allow before we can move on to what we really need to be feeling. I tell myself that I shouldn't be angry, that I should be mature enough to get over my anger. So I might fool myself by pushing it away, ignoring it, or denying it. I tell myself I'm fine and it wasn't a big deal, but sooner or later, the situation comes back to haunt me. I fell into this cycle with one of my family members. I'm sure none of you have this experience. So this situation where I got angry happened 20 years ago, and I've been carrying that anger for 20 years. And I told myself it was okay. It was a long time ago. Don't worry about it. And then this week, as this sermon was bubbling in me, strangely how these things happen, right? Serendipitously, my sister called up and got angry at me. Oh, it was a family member, not a sister. I have several sisters, so don't worry, you won't know which one it is. She called me up and we got into it, as we do, sisters do. And what happened was, behind my anger, I could see my fear of losing this relationship, which was so important to me. And behind that was love. I love this sister so much. And I dumped it all out, and she dumped it all back. And we got through it. It was amazing. I have to tell you that 20 years we both were carrying this crap around. And it was anger, and it was resentment, and it was not understanding what we were doing to the other person, because certainly we both had a part in this. So we were able to say to each other, well, I still have a little anger and a little fear. I know it's not gone away, but I'm going to look at it. I'm going to investigate it. I'm going to see where my part is. And then I'm going to see if we can let it go. Oh my God, how freeing is that feeling of letting that go? I don't have to carry that weight on my shoulders anymore. So, letting something rest, it's not easy, and I'm not very good at it, but it's good practice. So this prayer that we offered, that Hyatt offered us this morning, is such a deeply meaningful prayer to so many, and especially it's offered in Alcoholics Anonymous circles, the Serenity Prayer. And I come back to it many times. So God or higher power, or I love how Hyatt mentioned higher self, whatever your belief is, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, which is really hard to get, that wisdom. That's acceptance with the world the way it is. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to change what I can, but sometimes I just have to accept it. So Paul McCartney was struggling with this ability to let go of feelings when his wonderful bandmates decided to break up. It was really, really a hard time for him. He was going to lose his friendships and his partners in music. And this song came to him. He had a dream, he says, about his mother, who he had lost when he was a teenager. His mother's name was Mary. And his mother came to him and said, "Let it be." And the wisdom of those words stuck with him when he wrote the song. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. An amazing poem and song to come to someone at a time when they really needed that wisdom, that there maybe was no answer. Now in the song it says, let there be an answer. We all would love there to be an answer, and we'd love Mother Mary to come and give us that answer, right? But often that answer is not from someone outside ourselves, but from ourselves. It's where we have to find that answer. But when we do, we often find that the answer is to let go of those feelings that are not serving us and to accept those things that we can change, and then to let it be. Let it be.
So our chalice extinguishing reading is by Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. As we come to the end of the service, may you depart from our time together, buoyed by the spirit of life, delighted by the warmth of our gathering, and renewed in soul and mind. As we extinguish the flame of our chalice, may its lingering spark be carried in your heart until we are together again.
Please stand as we say our benediction and sing our closing song. Our words from our benediction come from Rachel Naomi Raymond. Healing may not be so much about getting better as about letting go of everything that isn't you, all of your expectations, all the beliefs about becoming who you are. And our closing hymn is Let It Be. Thank you all. Please take a break and then come back for our annual meeting.